Got to clear the lungs. That's how we do it. Hold on. Let me get the chat up. Chat working. Chat is working. Don't want to get any angry emails or texts from today's executive producer of the show, April. Make sure the chat's working. April stays on it. We appreciate that. April was the biggest tipper of the show yesterday, and so she's the executive producer. She's a regular. She's the best. Not the best, like, you know, the best. I mean it like familiar. Like, she's one of the best. I'm comfortable saying that. You know, I'm not going to designate anybody the best, but thank you to April. We appreciate it. Happy Friday and welcome to the High Noon Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. I do this every day at noon. We rant. What do we rant about? Well, it's a stream of consciousness. I deliver this rant as a stream of consciousness. What is a stream of consciousness? It's an unfiltered, uninterrupted run of thoughts from a mind that is ungoverned and has something to say. That's what a stream of consciousness is. It's just when you start talking and you don't stop. I will pause. But that's what this is for the next 2 hours. And it's not just about, you know, the narcissistic ramblings of some middle-aged weird guy streaming in the middle of the day. No, this is actually about current events. We're going to do this stream. We're going to talk about everything that you need to know happening in this day. We're going to cover it all. You're going to know everything about today. Well, not everything, but stuff that I think you should know about. And how do we do it? We do it in 4 quarters, just like a football game. First quarter, antecedently on this day. Antecedently is a fancy way of saying on this day in history. That's what it is. We go through history. I cherry pick some things that are interesting, things that maybe help define what our understanding of this day is. Then we go to quarter two, birthdays. People who say it's their birthday today. We take a look at them. We go, hey, this person's having a birthday. Are they cool? Do we wish them a happy birthday? It's no deeper than that. Quarter 3. That's where we have some fun. That's the deads. This is where we look at people who died on this day. We open up their life's resume and I don't know, collectively, I'll say that because I'm a generous individual, but I decide whether or not this person based on, you know, stuff they've done, stuff they're famous for, heaven or hell. Yeah. See, we get to send people there. Then we get into the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter of the show is the meat and potatoes. The bulk of the show. It takes up the most time of the show, and it's all the day's headlines, current events, hot topics, buzzworthy. Buzzworthy. Can't be president. I can't be president. I just said something funny. Look, I can't be president for any number of reasons. That is nowhere near the top of the list. One, here's something. Okay, we're doing the stream. Why not? We'll get started. Here's something I would like all of you to ask yourselves. This is a serious question. And I don't want you to answer in the chat room because 90% of you are going to lie. But seriously, I want you to, when you're laying in bed tonight in your darkest moment, you're not darkest, your calmest moment, I want you to ask yourself this question. Could I be the president of the United States? Could I do that job? Ask yourself that. I'm telling you, the answer is no. And I don't. There's probably only 15 people in the country who could answer yes to that question, and none of them are running for president. It's a tough job. Now, apparently, you can't mispronounce a word. Whether you're Trump or Biden. Yeah, it's just, dudes give like 10,000 word speeches, you know, every hour on the hour. We're nitpicking stuff. Saw Biden today. We'll get into that. Biden just talked. And he did good. The bar is so low. You know? I mean, you know what? Biden got up and he didn't shit in his pants. That's the bar. That's where the bar is. He was fine. He was talking about the Navalny thing. We'll get into that. All right. Say hi to the chat room. First person in was Taronda. I saw that. I was peeking before the show. I was peeking as I was doing some stuff. I was, setting up the studio and all that. And I saw Taronda was here. So Taronda was first in. We got Cam in the chat room. We got April, executive producer April. We got Byron. We got Todd. I'm going to call him Todd. It says, is it Guy Todd? I don't know. Maybe I just call him Artie. I don't know. Arthur is the last Artie. I don't know. Hold on. I gotta make the chat bigger for me so I can see everybody that's in there. Byron, we got Barney. We got Who else? Let me see some original. Anybody new? We got Cam. I said that. Dustin's here. Excuse me. Oh my God, got stuff in the throat. Should take some coffee. We got when I woke up this morning, I started putting the show together. There was obviously one big story, and I'm like, okay. And then I was like, I don't think there's anything else happening today. Today's probably not going to be much of a show. And then boom, whole bunch of stuff started happening. Fun stuff. I think this is a fun show. By the way, may not be as long, might not be a full 2 hours today. I don't know. It's just I got stuff to do. It's Friday. It's kids' weekend. Woo! It's a max kids weekend because apparently Monday is President's Day, and for some reason my kid's also off on Tuesday. So I don't know. We'll see how long we can stand each other here in the Comfort Nest Guest Lounge. Well, we're fine. We'll be fine. But he may not make it the full 4 days is all I'm saying. He may not want to make it the full 4 days. You know why? Because I don't have Xbox. Or what is he like? PS5? He's PS5. Can't be. Every time he comes to stay with me, he has to be away from his PS5. And that is really difficult for him. I get it. But he's a trooper. So, and I get it. All right, it's kids' weekend. Went shopping yesterday, did everything I needed to do yesterday, got it all out of the way. Oh, going to be on with James today. WBAP 93.3. I don't know, I think like 4 o'clock. James he wants me to come be on the show. I guess I'm going to talk Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. As the official entertainment reporter over there for the afternoon show on 93.3 WBAP, I'll be filing a report today on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Let's see. Reminder to you good folks, this show, all 3 years of it now, just about, runs on your gratuities. So if you're so inclined over the course of today's show, please drop a little something in. Help us keep going. Got a weird ear thing. Man, I got thoughts on something. There was something I wanted to mention at the start of the show, but it's escaped me. So let's hope it comes back by the end of the show because I thought it was stream worthy. Let's get started. I am Pugs Moran. This is the High Noon Rant. It is the 16th day of February, year of our Lord, 2024. February 16th, I'll have you know, the 47th day of the year. And because it's a leap year, 319 more till the end of the year. Antecedently on this day, this is just a pretentious, fancy way for people to say on this day in history. Antecedently on this day in 1923, Howard Carter unseals the burial chamber of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. You guys remember that? Where's my Gen X at? Where's my Gen X? Oh my God, this was huge for us. I mean, look, 1923 this happened. This wasn't huge for us, but what would occur in the late 70s, early 80s was huge for us because after being discovered by Howard Carter on this day in 1923, King Tut's remains went on tour across America in the 1970s. And if you were in elementary school in the 1970s, you took a field trip to the museum that had, well, actually, was it everywhere? Or is this just like Chicago entitlement? Because it was at the Chicago Field Museum, which is like a really good, globally renowned. Was it everywhere? Like, did the people in Dayton, did the local Dayton, did they get King Tut? I don't know. I know it was big enough that Steve Martin, remember King Tut? He actually had a hit song. Steve Martin had a hit song called King Tut about the King Tut tour. I went to it. It was pretty cool. But here's the thing. Our museum, Gen Xers from the Chicago area, you might get behind this. When you saw the King Tut exhibit in elementary school, when you went to the Field Museum to see it, didn't you? Okay, so here's the problem. I'd been to the Field Museum before, and the Field Museum has all kinds of Egyptian stuff already. Like, it was a big Egyptian mummy museum. A whole bunch of mummies. I've been seeing the mummies since I'm 3 years old. We always went to the Field Museum. So then when King Tut stuff came, I was like, this is like the same as the other stuff. Like, I wasn't blown away. I just thought, okay, cool. And also, as I got older, I kind of realized that King Tut wasn't all that important. We just found his shit and came up with a way to make money off of it by going, it's basically an ancient version of Storage Wars. That's what it is. And then they took it on tour and money was made. It was on this day in 1923, Howard Clark unsealed the burial chamber of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. He also unleashed a curse I don't know if this is true. This is just something I've heard. Like everybody, I don't know, like maybe two people, but over the passage of time, the story has turned into everybody. But like everybody who was there, guy died or killed or something in some weird way. Like everybody that was there when they uncovered Tutankhamun, like Howard Carter died weirdly, and like all of his assistants died weirdly. Don't know if it's true. You can Google it. I mean, you know that there's a King Tut's curse, so that's true. But I don't know what the actual details are. But moving on, antecedently on this day in 1959, Fidel Castro becomes premier of Cuba. I pronounce it Cuba because that's how they say it. Fidel Castro becomes premier of Cuba after dictator Fulgencio Batista was overthrown. All right, today's the day it all started. Antecedently on this day, 1959, Castro. On this day in 1968 in Haley'sville, Alabama, the first 911 emergency telephone system goes into service. 1968, Haley'sville, Alabama. You know, when you think about that and you're like, okay, so if they're going to test this 911 thing, somebody had an idea, which in and of itself is crazy. 1968, it took till 1968 for people to go, hey, we should have a way to instantly call emergency services. It took until 1968 for them to get working on that. Anyway, I mean, there should have been, there is no historical system of like flags being, like how did they do it? Like, couldn't they have worked on some sort of 911 system like in the cowboy days? Like Deadwood. Like, think about Deadwood. Some dude gets shot in a bar. Somebody goes, hey, run and get the marshal. Like that's it? That was their not, like, shouldn't there be like maybe you fire a cannon? I mean, nobody ever thought. No, until 1968. And they did it in Haley'sville, Alabama, I'm sure, because it's probably not. It's better to do it better to try it out in Haley'sville, Alabama than New York City, right? Because maybe you'll get one or two calls in Haley'sville. Antecedently on this day in 2005, the National Hockey League cancels the entire 2004-2005 regular season in the playoffs. Just shows the sad state of the NHL. I don't even remember that. I don't remember that. That's my lifetime. That's relatively recently. They canceled an entire hockey season. I don't remember that. On this day, antecedently in... What? This is way out of whack. Okay. All right. Sorry. This was out of order. But also antecedently on this day in 1862, let's go all the way back to the beginning. This is the day that Grant captured Fort Donaldson in Tennessee. Now, this is a very big deal. You know I'm a Grant guy, so I'll tell you the quick story on what happened with Fort Donaldson. Fort Donaldson controlled basically access to the Mississippi. The Confederates built a fort here at Fort Donaldson, Tennessee. They built a fort here because it overlooked a number of rivers, and if you could control the intersection of rivers, you could essentially control the entire state of Tennessee and then the South that flowed below it. So it was a very important thing for the Confederates to create Fort Donaldson. Grant, who we talk about all the time, Grant's just a crazy drunk. Hold on. This is I told you that I'm going to be on WBAP today. That's their producer wanting to confirm. Yeah, 4:00. Where was I? Grant. Okay. So Grant, who was being kept out of the real fighting, Tennessee at the time was considered the West. It was like the Western Front. They weren't worried about it. You know, the real fighting was occurring more on the Eastern side of things. Excuse me. So Grant, who was basically exiled out there because everybody in Washington and all the important people were like, Grant's a drunk. He's tough, but he's a drunk. He was exiled out there. And they said, yeah, just all right, see what you can do with this Donaldson, because it's a real problem. So what Grant did with Fort Donaldson was he just circled it. He just sent his guys down the Union Army of Tennessee, which was being commanded by General Grant at the time. And he just surrounded Fort Donaldson, and all of the people inside, they were basically, cut off, embargoed from everything. They're right there at the river, but they can't get any supplies or anything. So Grant basically encircles them. Long story short, because Grant is who he is, he just basically and his guys got drunk and partied. They just threw a party outside the walls and went nuts and just waited him out. And then a group of Confederates came to the rescue. They came from like the backside or whatever. And Grant's guys, they were all drunk and they were just like, let's go. And they slaughtered him. And that's how Fort Donelson fell. And that was how General Grant was brought to the east, because Washington went, Jesus, man, that was really important. He's good. General Grant on this day in 1862. All right, let's do some birthdays. There you go. That's my Yankee love. It's not, it's just I like Grant. I'm a general fetishist. Yeah, I have my ranking of great generals, great American generals. I don't bother with the outside world. I mean, can Sun Tzu, can he be number one across the board? And was he even a general? Did they have those sort of European ranks? I don't know. All right, that's it. Quarter one. Let's move into They claim it's their birthday. I don't know. They say it is. Born on this day in 1926, John Schlesinger. John Schlesinger is a big name in the filmmaking world, but he doesn't resonate with me. And I'm like Mr. Like I love my film directors. I love to do my drafts when a big name comes up. And Schlesinger is a big name. But I don't know if like his film, let's look at his films. Like there's nothing that jumps to mind for me. Okay, Far from the Maddening Crowd in 1967. I've heard of that, but I don't know what it is. All right, Midnight Cowboy. That's good. All right, that's right. That's Schlesinger, Midnight Cowboy. All right, he gets credit for that. That's right. Everybody's talking. Right? Wasn't that the song from Midnight Cowboy, or was that the song from Nashville? I don't know. Sunday, Bloody Sunday. Is that we're going to blow up the Super Bowl? Hold on. I've heard of Sunday, Bloody Sunday. Nope. Apparently it's about a bisexual artist. Nope. Never saw that. Day of the Locust. I've heard of that. Marathon Man. There you go. Dustin Hoffman. And Sir Laurence Olivier doing the dentistry. You ever seen Marathon Man? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Marathon Man? The torture scene where Dustin Hoffman's being tortured by the Nazi doctor, Sir Laurence Olivier, and he's doing dental work on. Oh my God! Oh, that's pretty good. Falcon and the Snowman is another one. Falcon and the Snowman. Remember that? That was the true life story about some American teenage spies. Who was that? Timothy Hutton and Sean Penn. Falcon and the Snowman. Don't know if that's any good. That movie came out in '85. I remember kind of liking it, but I've never seen it since, so I have no. Pacific Heights. Saw that. All right, that's it. John Schlesinger. What are you going to do? Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Marathon Man and Midnight Cowboy. There you go. Very good. But, he's not going to get a draft. You would think he would, because he's one of those names. He's like one of those big names. But when you actually pull it apart, you realize maybe he didn't make. I don't know. He made some critically acclaimed film about bisexuality in the 1960s. So there you go. He's famous. Born on this day in 1935, Sonny Bono. He was a big TV star in the 70s. He's another Gen X icon. He died. He skiing, right? Didn't he run into a tree? Good. So I'm not going to ski. In my age, I ain't going to ski. I got friends who are, they jetted off on their private jet. They jetted off yesterday to Colorado. Aspen or Vail or something like that. I don't know. Whatever the Malibu of the mountains is. They're going skiing. He's older than me. I'm like, nope. I mean, I went skiing when I was younger, but man, do you know the injuries that you can get in the way they just don't heal once you reach a certain age? Skiing. It's more dangerous skiing at 60 than being an NFL quarterback. I'll tell you that. I'm not 60, but I'm saying I will be in a number of years. Let's move on. Sonny Bono, born on this day in 1935. Born on this day, celebrating a birthday, 1951, William Catt. Who's William Catt? You don't know. You don't know who William Catt is. Believe it or not, he's walking on air. Come on. Who's with me? Greatest American hero. Believe it or not, is it walking on air? That's probably wrong. Anyway, William Catt, Greatest American Hero, born on this day in 1951. It was a TV show. If you don't know what that was, it was a TV show. When you were a little boy, it seemed like it was right up your alley. I don't even remember if it was good. I think it was stupid. William Catt certainly didn't look like a superhero. He wasn't muscly. Born on this day in 1957, LeVar Burton. Kunta Kinte. Roots. And then didn't he go? Then he like for millennials. Millennials know him. Like Gen X knows him as Kunta Kinte from Roots or Toby, depending on the episode. But I think millennials know him from like Reading Rainbow, right? Didn't he like go to PBS and become like a hugely influential presence in the life of millennial children? I think so. Moving on, born on this day in 1958, happy birthday to Ice-T. Ice-T's like 70. Ice-T. Ice-T's much older than he projects, which is great, which is, man, age ain't nothing but a number. Oh, God, did I just quote R. Kelly? Oh, boy. Yeah, that's probably not great. Ice-T. Ice-T, Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, any number of these guys, they sort of prove that if you can survive the initial attempt at the man or of the man to brand you a certain way. Like when you first come out, the man is going to brand you. The man is gonna tell the world what they should think about you. And let me tell you, Ice-T celebrating a birthday on this day was branded a certain way. Ice Cube was branded a certain way. All these people were branded a certain way. They're all making kids television now. They're all doing commercials for senior citizen reverse mortgages and freaking car, warranties. It just shows that if you just fight through it, and if the people are like, yeah, we don't agree with that branding, you can go on and do whatever you want. I mean, I'm telling you, Ice-T is beloved, man. Snoop Dogg is beloved. Snoop Dogg. I'm old enough to remember when Snoop Dogg was on trial for murder. Should have seen the headlines about old Kelvin Brodus back then. Yeah, they weren't calling him Snoop Dogg. They were calling him Kelvin Brodus to try and strip away any veneer of like celebrity from him. And now everybody loves Snoop Dogg. Do you remember when it was ironic? Remember the irony? Snoop Dogg is with Martha Stewart. My God, that's so ironic because he's a cold-blooded murderer and she's America's homemaker. Right? Remember that was ironic? That's not even ironic anymore. It's not ironic in the least. These people have been mainstreamed. They have forged their own careers, and they've defined their narrative. Ice-T is who Ice-T says he is. Not Cop Killer, not Andy Rooney in 1989 on 60 Minutes calling for his arrest for a song. Happy birthday, Ice-T. Born on this day in 1959, John McEnroe. John McEnroe, the bad boy of tennis. I always liked McEnroe. McEnroe was funny. Oh, come on! I mean, he was so rude. Just rude. The gentleman's game of tennis. I know real tennis people will be like, Jimmy Connors was, like that years before him. Like, not with the joie de vivre that John McEnroe had. McEnroe was fun. Born on this day in 1959, Johnny Mac. Born on this day in 1961, happy birthday to Andy Taylor. Andy Taylor, guitar player, formerly of Duran Duran. Strangest group ever of names. There's 3 Taylors in that band. None of them are related. Most times when you got a band and people have the same last name, you're like, they're brothers. Isn't that nice? Not Duran Duran. 3 of the 5 have the last name Taylor. None of them related. Andy's the guitar player. And he's a very good guitar player. Andy Taylor is a really good guitar player. To the point, that's the reason he's not in Duran Duran anymore. Andy Taylor left Duran Duran 80s, late 80s, early 90s. Something like that. Yeah, because he was like a rock guy. Like he's looking at the rock landscape and he's like, man, I want to play guitar with Anthrax. I want to play, he was like a shredder. He was a guitar player. He was a very talented dude. And, Duran Duran became typecast as like, new wave and, synths were like synthesizer driven and all that kind of stuff. So he left to go pursue like guitar stuff. Who'd they bring in? They bring in Cucciarillo. That dude, Cooch, I think that's the guy that replaced him. He's also a very good guitar player because the thing that people don't recognize about Duran Duran, especially their albums, their early albums, that's a pretty complicated guitar work going on. You know why? Because it's Andy Taylor. Andy Taylor, born on this day in 1961. I think he had a couple hits. He had a couple of like, American states, American Anthem. Hold on, wait wait a second. Now I got to hear an Andy Taylor song. What was that song? Plug this in. Because I know he had a hit. By the way, this is the portion of the show where we're about to make it. So this show will never make any money. Play this. Why not? Let's see. Andy Taylor. What was the song called? National Anthem? American Anthem? Okay. What do I want to listen to? Andy Taylor. That's who I... And by the way, not Sheriff Andy Taylor. Hold on. Let me see. The complete Andy Taylor collection. I can't... What was the name of the song? Does anybody in the chat room know the name of his song? Was it from that gymnastics movie? All right, I can't... Wait, what? Hold on. French guitar. See, here's the problem with him. Was Andy Taylor in the Power Station, or are they just giving me more? Was Andy Taylor in the Power Station? I don't know. You know what? I should have done my research. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I did want to hear that song, though. What was the song that Andy Taylor did, the gymnastics movie? It was, I think it starred the girl. It starred the girl. It was a gymnastics movie starring the girl that would go on to marry Wayne Gretzky. And they're still married. They created Paulina Gretzky and all that. No, not American Flyers. That's not it. It's American Anthem, I think, is the movie. Hold on. Let me see. American Anthem film. Let me see if that's it. Because now it's going to drive me nuts. Yeah, it's a film. All right. Hold on. Maybe I'll find it that way. Because that's the only solo Andy Taylor song I know. It's a Friday, guys. We got time to screw around. It's bothering me. It's going to be one of these things that bother me. American Anthem soundtrack. Okay. Here's the soundtrack playlist. Let's see. Was the playlist good? Hold on. Here's a little something. It's very 80s. Never mind. I'm done. I'm giving up. I may have gone off half-cocked. I don't know. You know what? Where's KB Artist? He should be the one guiding me through this. He's like the Duran expert. I don't know. Was he not? Was he? Soundtrack. Okay, let's see the soundtrack. Hold on. Soundtrack. The soundtrack was released on CD. Oh, okay. It's this one. Here we go. Take It Easy. Thank you, April. That's it. It took me time. So that's the one. Take It Easy is the song that was the hit, right? Okay. God. And it's going to suck. I haven't heard it in forever, but I remember I liked it. And I haven't heard it. And now it's going to suck. You just know. Okay. Here, let's try this one. Andy Taylor, Take It Easy, theme from American Anthem. Yeah, that's absolutely the one I'm in. Okay, here we go. This song. Let's see if I remember this. Nope, that ain't it. You guys, you know what I'm starting to realize? That song's not available. That's for some reason, copyrights and all that kind of stuff. That song's not available. Hold on. I bet it's on YouTube. I bet there's a YouTube video for it. Let's see. And then YouTube will just block the show. That's all right. All right, Take It Easy, Andy Taylor. All right, here we go. What? Hold on. Is there an official video? Because that's what I want to watch. Official video. Andy Taylor, Take It Easy, official video. Yeah! All right, we got it. All right, we're going to watch this. Why? Because it's Friday, and I feel like I want to relive a bit of my childhood. It's Andy Taylor's birthday. All right, this was the only, song that I can name of him that he did solo, but he's well respected as a guitar player. Oh, by the way, again, this is from the movie American Anthem. And this is the official video as we watched it on MTV. And this, by the way, this blonde right here, this is Gretzky's wife. There we go. All right.
Well, I have to go find my friend.
All right, I'll see you around.
Easy. I mean, you can see, by the way, that's Andy Taylor right there. You can see that he didn't want to be doing Duran Duran music. A little bit different. This was more what he wanted to be doing. That riff though, that is very Power Station-y, isn't it? Maybe was he in the Power Station? I don't know. We got to get out of this thing. We can't spend this much time on Andy Taylor, the exiled guitar player from Duran Duran. That is just not something I'm willing to do. Moving on. I'm sorry. I don't know how we fell down that bunny hole. Well, I do know how we fell down it, because this is a stream of consciousness. Born on this day in 1971, Michael Avenatti. Remember that dude? He came like out of the chutes as like Mr. Anti-Trump, and he became like super famous for it. And people were like, he seems like a really good guy. And then it turned out, nah, just a con man. See, even the idiots on the left are susceptible to a well-done con. Anybody who is going, what he did was he did the exact same thing that Trump did. He just did it from the left against Trump. He was a rage farmer. This is why I'm so mad at this guy. And the people who were on the anti-Trump side, they looked at this guy and went, oh, isn't he great? They're just as stupid. I won't finish that sentence, but come on, man. I thought he was interesting, but then I wasn't really surprised when all the bad stuff happened, because he seemed a bit performative to me. Seemed like maybe he just saw an opportunity to get a little bit of attention, because nobody in the world knew who Michael Avenatti was before this whole Trump thing. He just came out of nowhere, just some Southern California lawyer who's all of a sudden on CNN and MSNBC every other break. Born on this day in 1972, happy birthday to the bus, Notre Dame great Jerome Bettis. I love Bettis. Born on this day in 1974, Mahershala Ali. Love Mahershala Ali. Mahershala Ali has 2 Oscars. You guys realize that? He's like if somebody was like, okay, here's my list of the greatest current actors, and if Mahershala Ali was like in the top 3 of that list, you couldn't argue. Dude has 2 Academy Awards. Moonlight and Green Book. Dude's a baller in the acting game. Born on this day in 1974, Mahershala Ali. Born on this day in 1982, Lupe Fiasco. I love Lupe Fiasco. Southside, well, Harvey. He's from Harvey. Went to Thornton High School. Lupe Fiasco is a hip hop guy. He's an activist. He's a guy who's very involved, very smart dude. Very, very. He's the quieter Chance the Rapper in Chicago. As far as like the hip hop guys in Chicago are very active and high profile in the communities and all that, he's sort of like so not quite as high profile as Chance. His dad, here's how I know, Lupe Fiasco's dad was a very well-known dude in the Chicago martial arts scene for like in the 80s and in the 90s. His dad is like a super badass. And by the way, so was Lupe Fiasco. Lupe Fiasco has multiple black belts. Now, you can say, does he got multiple black? Well, his father owned these studios, these schools, these. His father was Black Panther, and his father was in charge of teaching all the Black Panthers how to do karate and kung fu and all that kind of stuff. So that's who his dad was. And yeah, Lupe Fiasco started training at like 3 years old, and he's got like belts in kung fu. Now the question that I have about that is, what is his dad's belt policy? Because you run into people all the time who are like, I got my black belt in 2 years. Yeah, that's not a real black belt. That's not a real black belt. You went to a dojo in a strip mall next to a nail salon, and the dude sold you a black belt package, and you committed to that. So you were in the program for 2 years, and at the end of the 2 years, after he cashed your checks, he gave you a black belt. It's not a real black belt. You will find yourself fighting a real black belt at some point and learn that's not a real black belt. Lupe Fiasco's black belt, I don't know, because his dad awarded them to him. So you know what I mean? Don't you want your kid to be? But probably still somebody you don't want to tangle with. Happy birthday, Lupe Fiasco, on this day in 1982. Born on this day in 1989. I love this girl. I don't know anything about her, but I just project she's like a blank canvas, and she's a wonderful actress. And I like her vibe. I like her energy. Don't know anything about her. Again, just projecting all of these things because she's like a blank canvas. But can I just say happy birthday, Elizabeth Olsen? Elizabeth Olsen. How wonderful is she? Wanda. She's darling. Moving on. By the way, and I don't feel weird about that, even though I should feel weird about that, because, for a very long part of my life growing up, there were these, okay, so she's the sister of the Olsen twins, right? Remember the Olsen twins, the babies from Full House that grew up, and then, they became a huge juggernaut in the kids' TV industry or kids' movie industry, became like billionaires or whatever. They were always kids. And I remember like there was like weird dudes. Remember how it was almost acceptable? I mean, I always thought it was very sus, but it was almost acceptable for people to go, ha, just a couple more years to the Olsen girls turn 18. Who's with me? Pedophilia. And that was always weird. And that was something that people were doing back then. And Elizabeth Olsen, you see, broke onto the scene. I didn't know she was the Olsen twins' younger sister. She's the Olsen twins' younger sister, which for me should present a problem because I've always seen her older sisters as little kids. So how is it that I can see Elizabeth Olsen completely differently? Well, because she was introduced to me as an adult. First time I saw her, she was like doesn't matter that technically she's younger than the ones who I still can't look at to this day. I still look at the Olsen twins and see those two little kids from Full House. I don't have that problem with Elizabeth. Happy birthday, Elizabeth. Born on this day in 1989. How old is she? 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. She's 35. Totally okay. Totally. She's a full-grown, beautiful, talented woman that I know nothing about. She married? I don't even know. I just know every time I see her, I go, oh. Born on this day in 1990, The Weeknd. I'm going to pronounce it correctly. The Weeknd. There's Weeknd. Canadian singer, songwriter, and producer. And until recently, the worst halftime show the Super Bowl had ever done. That's right. I said it. Actually, that's not true. The Weeknd did the thing with the mirrors. That was actually very cool. I was just kind of trying to throw a barb because people got mad at me because I don't like the Usher halftime show. Thought it was lame. Whatever. Born on this day in 2000, my current favorite NBA player, Kobe White of the Chicago Bulls. I love Kobe White. Kobe White plays the game of NBA basketball with an enthusiasm and a joy and a stoic face. Like his face, he doesn't smile. He's not Magic Johnson smiling. He always looks like this. He's very stoic. But his body language, the way he plays, I just love watching Kobe White play. Also, hair. He's got fun hair. He's got hair. He's got a lot of hair, and it's pushed all the way up. So when he runs down the court, it bounces. And it's very joyful. Happy birthday, Kobe White. One of my favorite players in the NBA, not even my favorite Bull, though. That's Ayo DeSumo. I love Ayo DeSumo. All right, let's do the deads. Let's move into quarter three. Quarter three, these are the people who died. These are the people who died on this day. We open up their life's resume and decide whether or not we think they're in heaven or in hell. Let's get started. Dead on this day in 2001, Dr. William Masters. Okay, He's Masters and Johnson. Isn't this an interesting one, huh? Who was William Masters? Masters and Johnson, they were people, they were two doctors, and they decided to dedicate their entire field of study and practice to sexual perversities, sexual peccadillos, sex. They were the first truly serious people to look at the sexual behaviors of Americans. And this was in the 1950s, in the 1960s. And they were very controversial, extraordinarily controversial. And you know why? Because one of the first things they said was, hey, there's a lot more gay people around than you all think. That was like one of the first things they did. William Masters' work did so much to enlighten a citizenry that had been in the shadows, in the dark. They did so much. And I'm not talking about, gay rights or other. I'm talking about the rest of us, non-gays. Masters and Johnson did the legwork, then presented it to the rest of us and went, hey, it's a thing, okay? Being gay is a thing. It doesn't mean that you're a pedophile. It doesn't mean William Masters. We put him in heaven because that dude took a lot of shit in his life, and his work is incredibly important. William Masters, American gynecologist and sexologist, born in 1915. Dead on this day in 2012, Gary Carter. The kid. I'm going to talk baseball here for a couple of minutes. Gary Carter was great. I'm a catcher freak. I loved catchers. Now, if I'm being fair, Gary Carter wasn't one of my guys. Like, as a matter of fact, I had kind of a problem with Gary Carter. He was mad respect for his game. Crazy right-handed power. The Mets, what he did with the Mets. First of all, I remember with the Montreal Expos, and then with the Mets, where Darryl Strawberry, Keith Hernandez, the famous fights. My guys were Bench, Fisk, Bob Boone. That was pretty much it. Those were like as a kid, as a guy like who loved to watch the catcher position during a baseball game. Those were my guys. But mad, crazy, high regard for Gary Carter. Gary Carter was an interesting guy in that he was Mr. Perfect. He was always smiling. He was the rah-rah guy. He was, if the teammate fell down, he'd pick him up and he'd give him a little enthusiastic talk or whatever. He was that guy. Come on, guys, we can win this. He also backed it up. He backed it up behind the plate as one of the greatest handlers of catchers or pitchers that baseball has ever seen. And as I said, incredibly talented hitter. Problem with the other stuff, not the on the field stuff, the playing stuff. When he's up to bat, everybody loved him. The problem with Gary Carter is that he just, everywhere he went, he drove his locker room nuts. His locker room thought he was just such a dork. Just a hey guy, rah, rah. He was like that guy. Who really had a problem with Gary Carter was Keith Hernandez. Keith Hernandez, the Hall of Fame first baseman for those New York Mets teams. Keith Hernandez was a leader of that team, and Gary Carter was a leader of that team. Gary Carter and Keith Hernandez were two completely different people. Gary Carter didn't drink. Gary Carter was a Christian. Gary Carter prayed. Keith Hernandez banged playmates and got busted for cocaine a couple of times, but they were both leaders. And it was just an interesting there's a great documentary. I don't know what it's called. I think it's part of the 30 for 30 series. Great documentary about the whole Mets mix. Gary Carter died on this day in 2012, one of the all-time greats, Hall of Famers. No doubts about it. First ballot, get him in there. He died of brain cancer. At young, too. I think he was only like 60-something, 60, maybe even in his 50s. Gary Carter's going to heaven. Because I'm sorry, when the knock on you is that dude is just too positive. Well, Keith, maybe that's because you're coming down off a coke bender and can't handle the team leadership that's being depicted here by the great Gary Carter, the kid. We're putting him in heaven. Dead on this day in 2015. How about Leslie Gore? No relation to Frank Gore, the NFL running back. Leslie Gore. Leslie Gore was a singer. Leslie Gore's interesting. All right, Leslie Gore. How do you know her? It's my party and that song. My God, how iconic is that song? That song's going to be used in television commercials for 100 years, right? Leslie Gore. It's my party. 16? She was discovered at 15. She was just a high school kid. She was just a high school kid who sang into a tape recorder, and somehow people got the tape. Like, she gave it to one guy who had no juice, and that guy was like, "Oh, this is kind of good though," and he gave it to somebody who had a little juice. And that person was like, and this all took place over a very short period of time. And that person gave it to another person who was like, I'm friends with the doorman in Quincy Jones's apartment building in New York. I could probably get it to him. So it's like a group of people, totally unrelated, came together to get a 15-year-old Leslie Gore's, not even an audition tape, just a tape of her singing to Quincy Jones. And to his credit, Quincy Jones listened to it. And he went, holy shit, get her up here. And then within weeks, It's My Party was the #1 song in America. She's also a big old lesbian. She's one of the earliest lesbians. She came out in like the 90s, Leslie Gore. What else is, she's also got another big song. You don't own me. No. Anyway, we're putting Leslie Gore in heaven. First of all, brave enough to be like, I'm a lesbian in like 1980 or whenever it was. She hosted like a lesbian show. I don't know what it was. And by the way, not Byron. Byron's like, lesbian show? I'd watch that. No, not the kind of lesbian show you'd want to watch. Just, lesbian talk. Leslie Gore, we're putting her in heaven because it's a party. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Those are the first 3 quarters of the show. Look at that, already in the books. Now we move forward into the 4th quarter. This is the hot topics, the current events, everything that you need to know. How about a little jump or a little drop something? There you go. I just put up the thing if you want to donate. I hate that. We're not at that time of the month. We're not, we're good. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Moving on. All right. Oh, I need to do something because there are a couple of stories that are percolating just as we signed on here. So before I decide what the first thing is that we're going to talk about, I have to see if something else has happened. April, we got any new headlines? April is the executive producer of today's show. All right, so I guess what we were waiting on is I was waiting to see if we were going to have a verdict here in the New York State civil trial against Trump, but we're still waiting on that. Developing. Okay, so we'll get to that. April in the chat room, you just let me know if something develops there. All right, so what are we going to go with first? We'll go with Navalny. Okay, Alexei Navalny, the outspoken critic of Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, has died in a Siberian jail cell. Okay, so this is the guy, the guy Navalny. We've been hearing about him. Remember a couple of weeks ago he went missing? A couple of weeks ago I was doing the story. I'm like, well, Russian prison authorities seem to have misplaced their #1 prisoner, the chief opponent to Vladimir Putin and everything Putin wants to do. They seem to have misplaced him, and he went missing for like a while. And then he popped back up. They're like, nope, here he is. Nobody knows what was going on or whatever. But yesterday he went out for a walk. And then they say he was not feeling well. And so he went to lay down and he never woke up. That is the Russian prison services understanding of the events. Listen to that. He went for a walk. He wasn't feeling well. So he laid down. He never woke up and died. Okay, that's the picture they're painting. Think about that. This dude is a prisoner in Siberia. He went for a nice leisurely walk outside. And then, when he was done, he mentioned that he wasn't feeling well. So we suggested maybe just go lay down. Do you need more blankets? Can I get you some tea or something? That is such bullshit. He went for a walk. He wasn't feeling well. What was he, bird watching? This dude is Putin's #1 political opponent and critic. He's in prison for absolute bullshit reasons. And you're telling me you allow him walks and you have a nice little give and take with him where if he's feeling like he's got an upset tummy, he's going to tell you. Come on. It's bullshit. They killed him. This is who Putin is. We know who this is. How you living, Tuck? Tucker Carlson's got to be incredibly quiet today. I mean, bad timing for him, bad timing for all of us who have known that dude has been a little bit suspiciously in the tank of Vladimir Putin for a very long time now. I mean, is this a coincidence? Is this, did Putin do this to Tucker? Because he knew, look, Putin, Putin, you don't think, Putin is all 3D chess. Putin used to run the KGB, PSYOPs, and all of these kinds of weird narrative flips. That's what he's good at. That's what he does. So I think it's probably very much related that Vladimir Putin invited in America's #1. I mean, you know, we know that Tucker's very divisive, but he's certainly one of America's biggest television influencers. He invites him in. He gives him a sit down. He lets Tucker make him look really good to the American people. All of a sudden, for days on Twitter, the American people are like, you know, that was a good interview. He seems like someone we could do business with. And then Putin goes, kill Navalny. He kills him. So they're like, just as the story is, well, people actually defending Tucker Carlson. Well, he had a right to go there, and Putin needs to be heard. He's a reasonable man. You know, that's the argument for it. And then Putin's like, yeah, thanks for the defense. I'm going to go do something that's going to piss everybody in the world off. It's embarrassing. It's got to be embarrassing. Like, Tucker's got to be like, what the fuck? Byron says my lib side is showing. Well, I definitely have a lib side. I have all sides. My lib side is showing because I'm once again pointing out that only idiots could be manipulated into thinking that Vladimir Putin has anything but the worst intentions for the American people. That's my lib side. I don't think that's true. All right, that's all right. So he's dead, 47 years old. They poisoned him a couple of years ago. Remember, they poisoned him, and then he couldn't even go to a hospital in Russia, so they had to fly him to Berlin because that's the only place where he could get treatment for the poisoning. He says, no, because many others have interviewed Putin and you trash Tucker. Yeah, no, first of all, not many others have interviewed Putin. Not many. Some have, some serious journalists. But the difference, Byron, is that they weren't softball interview questions. Tucker did a PR piece for Putin. That's the difference. And that doesn't make me a liberal because I can recognize the difference in how Christian Amanpour sits down with Putin and how Tucker did. There is an attempt that has been going on in this country for years now, and it's fully backed by Russian agents. There's an attempt to normalize the practices of Vladimir Putin. And I'm sorry, it doesn't make me a liberal for going, what? That's silly. All right, we'll move on, though, because let's order another round of beer and change the subject, because that's how we as humans need to be. I don't know about we as humans, but certainly we as Americans. Lib side, don't call me that. Byron says, Tucker always throws softballs, no deviation, and I'm no Putin supporter. That's good to hear, because I actually think that Byron is a pretty smart guy. He's, he's a rightfully angry dude, as many people are. But Byron's not. I'm pandering now. That sounded like I was pandering. I'm sorry. What I'm saying is good, Byron. We certainly respect your opinion. We can be different. We can disagree. Putin's not a good guy. He's not a good guy, and we got to stop pretending like he is. Okay, we're moving on. And I don't know why. What are the interests of making him a lovable? They tried to do it in World War II. Look, this is the first time this has happened. They tried to do it in World War II when we had to team up with Stalin. We called him Uncle Joe. The newspapers called Stalin Uncle Joe. Meanwhile, there's a whole bunch of people in this country going, he's killing more people than the Nazis. He's killing his own people in the gulags in Siberia. And we're calling him Uncle Joe on the front page in the New York Times. So, and we did that because there was an advantage to it. We needed the support of Russia to win World War II. That was the reason we did it. So all I'm asking now is, what is the reason for the attempt to normalize Vladimir Putin's actions? I don't understand what the reason is. I just really don't feel like whatever the reasons are, they're not good for America. Okay, let's move on. It's a fascinating story. I've been watching the Navalny stuff. I've got a lot to say on it. But again, it's really in the weeds stuff. All right, what do we got here? All right, let's move on. Sorry. The Kansas City Chiefs parade. We're getting more information here. You know what we're getting? They arrested detained. They detained 3 people yesterday. They've let one of them go now. One of them's like, yeah, never mind. They let him go. They still got 2. I don't believe there's been any charges. At least there weren't this morning. Police said Thursday they had detained 3 juveniles, but released one who they determined wasn't involved in the shooting. It's fairly accepted now that this was beef, and more specifically, this was gangbanger beef. And we're still not hearing that widely, but it's being skirted around. They're being referred to as juveniles. They're being referred to as, juvenile. Calling a 15-year-old a juvenile is a little bit, you're placing a legal designation on them, which sort of strips away any warmth you might have if, you just heard it was a kid. Excuse me. I'm having some throat issues, but we'll keep going. Police said Thursday they had detained 3 juveniles, but released one who they determined wasn't involved in the shooting, leaving 2 in custody. Police Chief Graves said Wednesday that several firearms were recovered and that investigators were working to determine whether other people were involved. Jacob Gooch and his family were among the 1 million fans enjoying the Chiefs Super Bowl celebration in Kansas City, Missouri on Wednesday when they heard a fight break out. We said it was beef. This wasn't crazy free Palestine. This wasn't the election was stolen. This isn't, I'm just crazy. These were just 2 idiots with guns. Were the guns legal? Let's find that out. Did these kids, were they like, because that's a whole different story, right? We always get upset when a crazy person acquires a gun and then kills people randomly for no reason. So let's get just as upset about the I don't know if these were kids, 15, 16 bangers. I don't know if they got those guns legally. Let's find out about that. Would we be willing to close that? Would we be willing to come down on the black community? Because these are all little black kids. At least that's what I saw. I bet we would. I bet suddenly we're going to have gun control we all know what the problem is. And now my lib side is going to go way in the back. The problem is liberal prosecutors in cities are not enforcing gun laws. They're not. That's a big problem. And I'm sorry, now suddenly I'm a right-wing guy, right? No, that's just obvious. There are laws on the books. Enforce the laws on the books. Put these people in prison for the things that they do before they start shooting people at the Chiefs parade. Well, he was caught. We're going to find out one of these guys has like 2 gun charges in the past, right? They were caught with a gun in 2018. How is he still out on the streets? He was caught. I thought don't we have these strict gun laws? Well, no, excuse me. Don't we have like harsh laws for gun felonies? Yes, we do. We have harsh sentencing and all that stuff. But these people, they get released. And I know the argument is, well, it's because we don't have prison space. Jeez, the Cook County in Chicago, that place is like a migrant train to Mumbai. There are people everywhere. So what do we need? More prisons? And then you say, yeah, let's build more prisons so we can actually put criminals in them. And then the argument becomes, well, why are they criminals? Well, let's start focusing on that. Okay, we can do all these things, but we need to do one thing at a time. And it starts with let's enforce the laws that are on the books and put these people in prison so that they can't do this kind of shit. Let's see here. This is common sense stuff. This isn't like, you're a righty, you're a lefty. No, we have the laws. Why aren't we enforcing them? That is a very real fact. We are not. People who get busted, a 19-year-old with 2 gun charges can get bailed out in the city of Chicago in 24 hours. And by 2 gun charges, I mean previously. However, do you want to know the irony? The irony is that same dude, if he gets pulled over with plates that are expired, and then it turns out that he's got parking tickets that haven't been paid, in Cook County, he'll spend years there. He'll spend years in jail for that. But hell, he carjacked somebody. He could get bailed out. That's not a problem. Were the tags fresh on the car? Was the car in violation of anything? Because if it was the car, then he'd be in jail. Man, we're crazy. As just a species, we're just crazy. We make no sense. We walk around pretending all of these things that we build make sense. They don't. They're just constructs. It makes sense because I'm telling you it makes sense. Okay, I guess it makes sense. Nothing makes sense. We're all just chaos. We're all just banging around, bumping into each other. All right. So here's finishing this story. 1 person was killed, 22 were hurt in Wednesday's mass shooting. Hate that wording, mass shooting. It's not a mass shooting. It is. There are mass victims, but mass shooting conjures those other things that I just like a difference between classic American crime and, this newfound thing of, I got a gun and I'm going to kill everybody in Target. This wasn't that. So calling it a mass shooting, I think, again, is like, this is gun crime. Yes. 2 juvenile suspects are detained. Officials are now working with juvenile prosecutors to review investigative findings and determine applicable charges. Applicable charges. I don't know. Murder. There's one. Murder. We got that one. Can we run his plates on his car? Maybe he's got some non-paid parking tickets that you can hold him on. Something like that. What else do we have here? Taylor Swift is making news. She has made a $100,000 donation to the GoFundMe of the woman that was killed. That's nice. Is that a lot for her? Is that easy? Is that like couch money for Taylor Swift? $100,000. Still nice. It's a good gesture. It may encourage Taylor Swift Nation to follow suit. That's very good. I'm sure if that gets happening, man, if that Taylor Swift army all starts donating $1, whew. And by the way, I'm fine with that. I have in the past had to work through that. It's like family has and I'll tell you why. My family had a tragedy. My father was murdered when I was a very young child. He was murdered. He left my mother, who was an art student at the time, really an artist, right? Not really ready to take care of a kid, and me, 6-month-old baby. Would have liked to GoFundMe. Would have liked a little something, but it was 1970, so that shit didn't happen. So when I hear about these stories, I often go, well, why are the victims of these terrible tragedies? Why do none of them have burial insurance? Why are they all getting these GoFundMes? And we've seen it, and they're making a lot of money, and people's compassion and people's desire to do something for the victims, the mothering instinct that a lot of people have, it drives them to, manifest those emotions with a $1 donation to a GoFundMe. So, although I would have liked a GoFundMe in 1970, that would have been good. It didn't exist. And I don't hold it against people today. Why do they get money? Oh, just shut the fuck up, man. Because they've got 2 dead kids and we can't do anything else. So let's just make them rich, right? They got just 2 dead kids or whatever it is, right? Whatever the case is. So there you have it. Gracie Hunt. We've talked about Gracie Hunt. She's my neighbor. She lives right down the block. She grew up right down the block. Gracie Hunt is the daughter of Clark Hunt. Clark Hunt, of course, the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Gracie Hunt Gracie Hunt is an influencer. She's hold on, let me move this up. She's Miss Highland Park, which is where we live. Highland Park. She's Miss Highland Park, which is, I don't know, some made up beauty pageant that her father probably. But bottom line is she's extraordinarily attractive. She's a very attractive woman. She's hot. Well, her dad is, an oil executive, and her mom is probably a fashion model or something, so they're the Hunt family. They own the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm telling you, there's good female genes for the last few generations in that. No matter how weird looking the Hunts were, doesn't matter. There's all kinds of attractive women genes from years of being billionaires. Gracie Hunt's gorgeous. Gracie Hunt's being criticized because she put out is this Twitter? We're going to show her Twitter. Yeah, let's show her Twitter. She put out, all right, here. Oh, wait. Let me read it to you. She put this out on Twitter. The most beautiful, perfect day of love, laughter, and celebration at the Chiefs Super Bowl parade turned upside down in an instant. I'm still processing today's tragedy. I love this city, and I'm angry at what took. You don't love that city. You wake up in Dallas, and then you go to the private jet, and you fly to Kansas City on Sunday morning. You don't even live there. I love this city, and I'm angry at what took place and heartbroken for the victims, their families, and the Kansas City community. This world is broken. First of all, she's a billionaire daughter. She's not living in Kansas City. This world is broken, and thank God it's not our home. I'm thankful for the hope of heaven. All right, that's very nice. So far, this is fine. So far, there's nothing wrong here. Life is precious, and each day is a gift. I'm grateful for a Savior who sacrifices on the cross, gives us the assurance of a perfect eternity in heaven with no death, no fear, no grief, and no pain. If you don't have that, I promise you, you want it when you're facing a moment like this. Thank you to the first responders for your swift actions that saved more lives from being lost. Thank you to the KCPD, Chief Security, brave citizens, and everyone at Union Station who worked to manage the chaos and pandemonium. Kansas City, hug those you love extra tightly tonight. We love you big this Valentine's Day and always. Okay, signed Gracie Hunt, the daughter of Clark Hunt, the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs. She's a very high-profile individual down there because she's hot and she wears fashionable clothes on the sidelines. So she's being roundly criticized for that very, very serious post on, very maudlin, and then she tagged a whole bunch of pictures of her celebrating and, posing. And, look, yes, it's a very sad day, but, she's got the Super Bowl. It's just, the note was programming is my point. And this is what a lot of people are pointing out. The note was just programming. Thank you to the first responders. You might really mean that, but you're putting it in there because you know that it has to go in there. It's like when people say, thank you for your service. Fuck you. You don't support veterans. When I used to work for veterans, I used to hate that. I used to sit in meetings. People so bullshit with their programming. I would sit in a meeting trying to get a company to support a veterans initiative, and they would brag about, oh, my car's got to support the troops, and then they wouldn't go. They wouldn't be like, nah, we just can't do it right now. We can't be helping. We can't support that thing right now. And then as we'd walk out, the person I was with, they'd inevitably go, thank you for your service. Oh, really? Thank you for well, I guess free of charge, huh? I guess. Fucking programming. A lot of that note was programming. And then she's being roundly criticized because she also attached a whole bunch of pictures of her having a really good time. Know the room, I guess, is what people are saying. Come on, Gracie. Know the room. You probably don't have a normal person's ability to read a room because you're Gracie Hunt. From the time you were born, every room you walked into, you have been the princess. So you probably just think the vibe is entirely dependent on you in the mood that you project. But that's not it, Gracie Hunt, billionaire's daughter. You don't say something like that, which, look, on its basis was beautiful and fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you attach pictures of you in your sexy little Instagram poses, holding the trophy and, woo, you got your Kansas City fist up, it's just a bad look. And baby, I don't think you have the capabilities to know when something is a bad look. I think you're broken. You're another broken rich chick. There you go. That's my rant on my neighbor, Gracie Hunt. Woo! Can't wait to tell her that when I see her at the Whole Foods. I've never seen her at the Whole Foods. I might, though. She literally lives right down the block. That's one of my great fun facts about this neighborhood that I always point out. The owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, Clark Hunt, lives across the street from the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones. Fun fact. It's because the Hunts are Texans. Because the Hunts, remember, the Kansas City Chiefs used to be the Dallas Texans. They were originally an AFC team called the Dallas Texans, and then they had to move when the merger occurred. They became the Kansas City Chiefs, but the family still lives here. Congratulations to gay people in Greece. Greece has legalized same-sex marriage. Now, I know you're thinking, what? Why did it take so long? Well, here's the thing. Greece is an Orthodox country, and there is no same-sex marriage in Orthodox countries. At least there hadn't been until today. Greece is now going, okay, that's fine. And like a whole bunch of Greek dudes and women they're all getting married now today. Greece. Isn't this weird? Because didn't the Greeks kind of, I don't know if they invented that kind of thing, but you know what I mean? It's like the Greeks. When I think of like homosexuality throughout time, I immediately go back to the Greeks. So it's good for them. They finally got their thing. They got their thing back. Ireland's thing is, music and dance. America's thing is power and can do. Greece's thing is butt sex. That's their thing. They got it back. It's legal now. Good for them. What is Adam correcting me with my off-the-cuff remarks regarding the timeline of the Kansas City Chiefs? Says they moved like 10 years before the merger. They knew the NFL team would make their AFC. Okay, thank you. That's significant. That's significant information. Point is, they stop. See, but that's why, Adam, and I love you, Adam, but that's why people are, because that wasn't the main point of my statement. My main statement was the main point. The only thing you really should have been concerned about was I was pointing out how the Kansas City Chiefs used to be the Dallas Texans. But you couldn't just let it go. You had to find, when I was being flowery with my description of that, you found a flaw, you put a spotlight on the flaw in an attempt to what? Make me feel less than you? That's the dynamic that's at play when you do that. I'm good with it. In fact, I love it. You and I got a thing, baby. But I don't know. But that's just a thing. And it's, you do it without thought. Oh, he said something that I know more about. And it's different than just, I'm going to correct. It's more of, it comes across a little bit too. You're wrong. I am right. And that's a better way to do it. Smart guy. Look at me fighting with and then attempting to ham-fistedly make amends with both Byron and Adam on the same day. Caitlin Clark is trending. She's Iowa basketball player girl. She's trending because she's what? She's like the greatest basketball player of all time. I don't know. Whatever. I don't even know who she is. It's women's collegiate basketball. Now, I am never going to watch women's collegiate basketball. I'm just not. I don't care how much you put it on TV. Doesn't hold any interest to me. Now, when I say I am never going to watch women's collegiate basketball, is that the same as saying they should take basketball away from women and not let them have scholarship? That's not the same thing. I'm just saying I ain't watching it. Women's basketball, I don't like it. I've tried it. I barely like men's basketball. And why do I like men's basketball over women's basketball? It's faster. It's more physical. It's just feels like it's a higher degree of the sport. That's fine. I have no problem. As a matter of fact, I was celebrating yesterday when the Illinois High School State Association of Sports, they finally agreed at the high school level to have Illinois State girls flag football. I love that. Now, look, my high school is now going to have an opportunity to have two really bad football teams, and I embrace that. But I don't want to watch girls basketball. But maybe Caitlin Clark is a reason to watch. Apparently, maybe is she really good? Like, what is she good? Like, what constitutes like the best girls college basketball player? What? 360 windmill dunks. I like, what are we talking about here? She doesn't miss because that could be compelling. She doesn't miss. I mean, that's crazy compelling, right? So that's good. I don't know what she does. All right. Apparently, she just became the NCAA women's all-time leading scorer. Clark is on pace to surpass Pete Maravich, Pistol Pete, for the most points in both men's and women's Division I history. That is quite an accomplishment. Good for her. I ain't watching it. Arguably the greatest women's college basketball player of all time has cemented her legacy Iowa superstar Caitlin Clark becomes the NCAA women's all-time leading scorer Thursday night against Michigan. Clark needed just 8 points to break the record, and they were probably the easiest 8 points of her life. She did so by knocking down each of her first 3 field goals, but the way she broke the record was a sight to be seen. All right. Clark pulled up for what seemed like a prayer, but for her, it was just another shot. It was nothing but net, and she surpassed Kelsey Plum's 3,527 points at Washington between 2013 and 2017. Clark's first 8 points were the first points Iowa scored in the game. All right, she's a baller, man. She can play the game. She's good. She is good as any. She is good as Rebecca Lobo in her prime. She is good as Cheryl Swopes. She is good as I'm just naming like 90s girls who play basketball. I don't know. I'm out. Is she? Here's an interesting question, though. I mean, this is because by choice, I don't know very much about women's basketball, and it's by choice. I do not choose to watch that or become compelled by it. So I don't know much about women's basketball, but is she the type of woman's athlete who can jump to the next level, the WNBA, and maybe like be a transcendent figure? Like, is she that kind of person? Because I don't believe, well, man, what am I going to say here? Okay. Never mind. I don't, moving on. Caitlin Clark, good for her. She's fantastic. Florida school. There's a Florida school. This is a very strange story. A Florida school has done something weird. Let's work through this. I just want to say that I'm against it. I'm against what this school did. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is against it. DeSantis and me will be standing next to each other going, yeah, I think you're a real sleazy dude, but yeah, we agree on this. I don't understand it. I don't understand. I don't know. My mind is about to explode. So let me read it to you, what's going on in this Florida school. I have a sneaking suspicion that this centers on a principal of a school who sent out permission slips to all the parents of the students in his school. I have a sneaking suspicion that the principal who sent these out is doing it to make a point. He's doing it as an activist gesture. Okay, so what did he do? It's Black History Month. This principal sent out permission slips to every single parent of a student in his school that had to be signed. A parent had to sign the permission slip, or the student would not be able to listen to the reading of a book by a Black author. The simple fact that it's a Black author's book that is being read to the class required a parent permission slip, because this principal wouldn't want any parent to get upset that their kid heard a book written by a Black person. That's why I think it's a bit of an activist gesture. I think there's something else going on here, because if that's not what's going on, well, this principal's a crazy racist. That's a real problem. And that's why Ron DeSantis is like, yeah, I'm even against that. That's way over the line. Just because they're Black doesn't mean we shouldn't read their books. Florida officials blast Miami school about permission slips for Black history events. After a Miami school drew attention for requiring parental approval before students could participate in a book reading activity for Black History Month, Florida education officials went on the offensive, admonishing the principal and accusing her, it's another thing, females are a bit more prone to be activists in this way, accusing her of engaging in nothing more than a political ploy. The spat between the state and local school officials spiraled after a social media user on Monday shared a photo of a form requesting permission for students to participate and listen to a book written by an African American. The form described the guests that could attend as firemen, doctors, artists, but did not specify the book or author in question. One of the parents said, I have to give permission for this or else my child is not allowed to participate. The user who went by the name Chuck Walter posted on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, local media organizations connected to Coral Way K-8 Center School in Miami could not be reached for comment. All right, so here's a picture of it. Here's the permission slip that had to be signed. Look at this. This is crazy. Now, what do I think the activist gesture is? I think that what they're trying to do is they're trying to point out how absurd a lot of these new rules in Florida schools are. And this principal is taking it to the extreme to show how absurd it is by asking every parent for permission for their kid to just hear from a black person. I think that's what's going on. Although the school hasn't issued a comment or anything, so we don't know. Here, let's look at this. I've actually got a picture of the permission slip. Of course, we have to wait for the page to download because there's a whole bunch of ads that got to be seen. So they're going to wait for us to. All right, here's the permission slip. Maybe. Yeah. There. Oh, now we what? Now we got to go to Twitter to see Chuck's permission slip? That's fine. All right, here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Here you go. Here's the permission slip that was sent to every parent in the school district. Now, I'm going to read it to you. It says, activity event, read aloud. Description or nature of the activity or event. Students will participate and listen to a book written by an African American. And then it says, date of activity. And then it says when the date is going to be. But that's it. Yeah, your kid you need to give your kid permission to listen to a book written by an African American. There you go. That's what's going on in Florida. That's a fun story. Weird story. There's something going on. That teacher's working that teacher or that principal. They're doing something bigger here. I think we're going to hear from them. That's not the last we've heard. How about this one? Would you vote for Manchin and Romney as a third-party last-minute entry into the presidential race? Manchin, who I don't know what that dude is. He's a Democrat from West Virginia. How'd he do that? He must have lied to some people. You can't, you know what I mean? Yeah, there's no way that a Democrat gets elected in West Virginia. Nothing. But there he is. He's, and the Democrats got all mad at him because he's got to get elected in West Virginia. Anyway, he got out. Manchin's like, I'm done. I don't need this anymore. This is too crazy. And so now there's rumblings that he might run for president as a third-party guy. Why? Because he's a pretty much in-the-middle guy. I don't know if he's a pretty much in-the-middle guy or if he's a guy that has had both the right and the left mad at him at a time. So that's why he's now perceived as being in the middle, not because he's had both the right and left go. He's great, but it's because he's had both the right and the left go. He sucks. That's why he's got the designation as an independent. Okay, maybe that works. But they were saying, or he was saying that he's looking into it. Maybe, who knows? This is going to be a wide open. This is going to be crazy, y'all. This ain't going to be Biden versus Trump. Don't kid yourself. It's going to be nuts. We ain't going to stand for that. So people like Manchin are going to be asked to come in as a third party, as an independent. He said he wants Romney. Democrat Senator from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, says that if he runs as an independent, he would draft Mitt Romney. And I'm telling you right now, if it's between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Donald Trump and Kid Rock, I am going with Romney and Manchin, and I'm going to hold I don't know. I don't hate Romney. Romney's the kind of politician I used to hate before I saw how bad politicians could get. Like Romney, to me, I never hated Romney, actually, now that I think about it. Romney wasn't. Romney existed for me in a time before we had just absolute blood-curdling hate. I guess like Republicans always had absolute blood-curdling hate starting with Clinton. And I guess did libs? Yeah, no, because libs went crazy on Bush, right? For like, the Iraq war and all that. All right, never mind. I guess maybe I was just existing in my own little personal bubble where I don't pay attention to this stuff. But I don't mind Romney. I don't mind him. I mean, I mind him. Oh, he's a rich silver spoon, Nepo, little freak show, vanilla tasting nothing. That's who Romney is. I'll take that. I'll take that over Biden, and I'll take that over Trump willingly. So there you go. Manchin Romney. Manchin also said that he would entertain bringing his buddy Ohio Congressman Rob Portman onto the ticket if Romney didn't want it. And I got news for you. Romney don't want it. With all due respect, Joe Manchin, Mitt Romney sees himself above you. Mitt Romney sees himself as someone who could himself decide to run as an independent third-party guy. That's the ticket. Maybe Romney Manchin, but no freaking way Manchin Romney. Unless, as I said, my other choices are Trump and Biden Harris. Who's the other? Trump. Who's the other guy? I just said him. My choices are Biden Harris or Trump and Squiggy from Lenny and Squiggy. I am going to go with whoever the Romney Manchin configuration is. Hell, I'll go with I may not vote. Is voter turnout going to be a problem? It's just going to be like, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They're going to. Great Lakes ain't got no ice. People are freaking out. And they're like, the Great Lakes have no ice. This must be another example of global warming. Global warming's real. I mean, the world changes every bit. I mean, it's a real thing. There's shit going on, and we probably should be more diligent in thinking about the future of this planet's viability and whatnot. But don't point to the Great Lakes and be like, there's no ice on the Great Lakes this year. Well, it's because it's an El Nino year. I saw an answer to that. People were worried. There was a story that was going around earlier today, and it was put out by people trying to ring the alarm bell about global warming and all that kind of stuff. And I was reading it. I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. So it's a very mild February in the Great Lakes. The lakes would typically be covered by ice, and they are not covered by ice. And this person made their case that this is just another example of global warming. And then another person on Twitter who I actually respect, said, here are the last 5 El Nino years with the numbers of ice density on the Great. Like, basically, he said this happens every time there's an El Nino. So stop it and shut up. There was a study that looked into what the deadliest month of the year is. Do you know what the deadliest month is? I'll put it to you this way. Do you know what month you are most likely to die in? Got a guess? Because there is 1 month. See, I would think this, I'm wrong. But if I was being asked, like if somebody just randomly said, what month are you most likely to die in? Like, what month is the most deadliest? What month do more people die than any other month? My thought would have been July. I'd have gone July. The stupidest thing you're ever going to do in your lifetime, you're going to do in the month of July. That's just a fact. Don't push back on me. You know it's true. The dumbest things you did as a child, you did in the month of July. Now, I know it might have been the first week of August or the last week of July or of June, but it's mostly July. So I thought it was July. It's not it. January also makes sense because people freeze to death. January is the deadliest month of the year. On average, January is America's deadliest month, according to our analysis. 66.8 million deaths in January. Okay. Going all the way back to 1999, collected by the Center for Disease Control. Other lethal months that come later in winter, February is second. So we are in the second deadliest month right now. Third deadliest month, March. It's got to be winters, right? That's what this is about. It's about winters. Why isn't December? Is December the next one? Yep, December is 4th. Yep. We'll catch you on the back end, December. January is the deadliest month. February is the second deadliest month. March is the third deadliest month. December, the fourth deadliest month. You know what the safest month is? Hold on. What is the non-deadliest month? Hold on, I'm trying to guess my ranks. 20% more people die in January No. August. August is the least deadly month. That makes no sense to me because as a kid, you're still doing stupid stuff in August. But August is the least deadly month. January is the most deadly month. There you go. Baseball, big news in baseball. We didn't mention this. Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, is stepping down. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. I mean, that's programming. The programming for me when the name Rob Manfred comes up is that guy sucks. Commissioner of baseball, he sucks. That's programming. So when you stop and you try and be thoughtful about it and you think it through, I don't think Manfred was bad at all. I love the changes. I love the last 5 years of baseball. And quite frankly, globally, if Manfred's job was to grow baseball globally, success, because baseball is growing faster than any of the other big four sports globally. Baseball has always had a nice hold in Latin America and in the Far East. Not even the Far East. That's unfortunate because we always just assume, no, it's big over there. No, it's not. It's big in Korea and it's big in Japan. It's not big in China. It is now. Baseball has grown in China exponentially. I was looking at these numbers about Chinese kids playing baseball. And that's really hard for them to be allowed to play baseball since it's, quintessentially American. They don't really like that over there. I like everything. I like the pitch clock. I don't know. I don't have Rob Manfred. He's been the Major League Baseball commissioner for quite a long time. I can click on it and tell you exactly when, but programming would say he's awful. But I don't know. I think he's fine. I think he is leaving baseball in a much better state than he inherited it. Who did he inherit it from? Did Manfred come in after Giamatti? Paul Giamatti. You know Paul Giamatti? Yeah, his dad was commissioner of baseball. I always get angry about actors and actresses, and I'm like, most of them come from very well-connected families that have money, and that's Paul Giamatti. Now, Paul Giamatti's an amazingly talented actor, and thank God that, he's not replacing mufflers in New Jersey because that would be a waste of his talent. But Paul Giamatti had a dad who was the commissioner of baseball. So, yeah, he got auditions, especially if the director was a baseball fan. Stuff like that. Breaks, advantages. That's why I always say there's probably a dude fixing mufflers in New Jersey who is better than Marlon Brando on his best day. But that dude's dad wasn't the commissioner of baseball, so he didn't, decide to roll the dice in Hollywood. That dude had to get a job right after high school, and he couldn't just do plays. So now he's working on mufflers. What are we talking about? Rob Manfred. Moving on. Okay. Oh, shit. I hate this story. All right. I'm just going to mention it because it's an emotional. I'm expecting the worst. I have a friend who is close to this situation, and they told me last night. I said, how serious? And after an hour of not responding to that, they responded with pretty damn. So I said, how serious? And then there was nothing, and I'm waiting for the response. And then the response was pretty damn. This is a friend of the family. It's a person who is probably at the hospital. A couple of days ago, we talked about the wonderful story concerning me and my Chicago Bear fandom of Steve Mongo McMichael getting elected to the Hall of Fame and why it was such an important story to especially us in Chicago who are Bears and Mongo fans. He's got ALS. He's very sick. He's very dying. He's very sick. He's very ill. Last year was the year that we thought he was going to get in, where he was still in really bad shape. So the fact that he got in this year, the fact that he just got in a couple of weeks ago is just such a wonderful story. It's just a really nice, kind, sweet, decent story. Last night, Steve Mongo McMichael was rushed to the emergency room with breathing issues. He has an infection. It has turned into pneumonia. This is what I hear from family. Well, it's being confirmed. It's also in the news and all that stuff. So Mongo is in intensive care at I don't know what hospitals he at. Silver Cross, maybe. He lives in Homer. He lives in Homer Township, Orland Park, right out there. He got in though. He got in, and he knows that he got in. And isn't this the weird thing? Is he just giving up? Because the reason we were all so pulling for him was because there's just these endless stories of the last couple of years. Actually, from the beginning of his fight with this ALS, there's just these endless stories about he doesn't give up, he keeps pushing, And then when you saw like that little smile, like when they said that he was in the Hall of Fame, and then like a week later, he's rushed to the intensive care. I mean, is this when we give up? He can't go. He can't go to the Hall of Fame. You're not going to wheel him out on stage. There's no speeches to be made for him. The conclusion is getting into the Hall of Fame, and maybe spiritually, Mongo's tired. And if that's the case, God love you, brother. I'm putting you in heaven. He might want to go to hell, though. Mongo might want to go to hell. Anyway, Mongo McMichael. I would say keep a good thought. But no, just appreciate if you've ever enjoyed the antics of Steve McMichael, whether you're a wrestling fan or a Chicago Bear fan or an 85 Bear fan or whatever it is, if you've ever enjoyed any of that, his bigger than life personality, his no filter where he'll just say whatever he wants. If you've ever enjoyed that, just think about that. But I don't know that we need to hope that he gets better. I think we need to hope that he finds peace. There you go. Steve McMichael. Dune 2. Dune 2 is, I don't know when it's going to be released, but it made its debut or it made its premiere. They did the big red carpet thing and all that. You know, Dune 2, Timothy Chalamet. I don't even know how to say his name. Timothy Chalamet, and then you got the Xanadu girl. You got her. And then you got worms, sandworms, Dune. Frank Herbert novel. So Dune, I have a very complicated history with Dune. I read the book when I was a kid because all, kids in the 70s, boys read Dune. I read the book. Then they made a movie. And the problem is that they made a movie that was dumb, a really bad movie. It was Dune. It was so stupid. And I watched it. And it made no sense. And I was very angry at the whole Dune idea. And then I never read any more Dune books. And I just kind of moved on with my life. Last year or a couple of years ago, they created new Dune. This is with the Chalamet, and it was awesome. And I saw it, and it was awesome, and it was amazing. And immediately after seeing the new Dune with Timothy Chalamet, I felt that I understood the story now. Now I understood what was going on. They just did a better job in the new Dune of explaining it. So then what I did immediately following the new Dune, the Chalamet Dune, I went back and I watched the original one from like 1983 that I hated at the time. And I loved it this time. I loved it after seeing the new one. I saw the new one, all the things, all the questions that I had in the original, the new one did a really good job of explaining. And so I'm watching the new one and I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, so that's what's going on. Oh, that's who that is. I had no idea who that person was. So I got all that from the new one, and then I went back and watched the old one, and now I think the old one is just an amazing movie. The problem with the old one is they didn't dumb it down. The old one really required that you be familiar with the book and all the nuances and the stories, and so there was stuff that went unsaid in that version. This newer version, this new run of Dune movies, they're actually going, these people might not have read the book because people don't read, so we got to explain who this guy is. And they did a really good job of that. So Dune 2 is coming out, and I'm very excited about Dune 2 because, as I said, I like the first one, and Dune 2 is getting rave reviews. It's being called the greatest science fiction film of all time. Okay. Really? Variety. I guess the premiere was last night, so it's the first time that they're dropping. Is there even a trailer for it or anything? Denis Villeneuve, Dune Part 2, has finally been unveiled, and film journalists are showering the highly anticipated sequel with praise for its incredible ensemble cast, breathtaking visual effects, and more. The film, which follows 2021's Dune, is being called masterful, damn impressive, and full of battle scenes that rival Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings Two Towers. Dune Part 2 is damn impressive, wrote Gregory. Okay, we don't need to go through these. Who cares? Anyway, there you have it. Dune is getting good reviews, and if you're a Dune nerd like me, and I'm a fairly new Dune nerd, And I know what you're thinking. You're probably going, hey, Pugs is a Dune nerd because he's got a 15-year-old or 14-year-old son. He's got a 14-year-old son who's probably a Dune nerd. My son hates Dune. My son won't watch the Dunes with me. I tried to watch, like, the movie the new one, or the new one that's now the old one, part one. Wait, the one from 2 years ago, the one that rebooted the whole Dune thing, that one, my kid watched like a half hour of it with me. And, then he went somewhere else. He loves Xanadu. What's her name? Zendaya. He loves her. So maybe that was it. Maybe it was like, maybe he just needed to remove himself from the situation, from dad. I don't know. But he didn't like it. He didn't love it. I loved it. And then I tried to make him watch the original one, and he's like, this is stupid. And I'm like, that's exactly what I thought when I was your age. How about a little Franklin? When I say Franklin, you guys immediately know who I'm talking about. The iconic cartoon Franklin from Peanuts. The black guy. The black guy from Peanuts. Franklin's getting his own Apple TV special. That's right. Peanuts is going to do an Apple TV special. It's going to focus on Franklin. I see about 15 people watching that. Here's why. Who cares about Peanuts? Nobody's got Apple TV. And Franklin? I mean, okay, he's not really a primary character. He's the black guy. And I understand, by the way, the story of Franklin's a really great one. The story of Franklin, here, you want to hear the story of Franklin? Like, how did Franklin, because there were no black cartoon characters. Charles Schulz, the creator of Peanuts, in the days following the assassination of Martin Luther King, received a letter from a school teacher in Atlanta, Georgia, begging him to create a black character, a black student in the Charlie Brown universe. And he was like, he had an exchange with her, and they actually became friends. But he said, no, he didn't want to do that because that just seemed way too pandering. Like, he would try and think of something else to do, but that was just, he was very uncomfortable with it. However, he changed his mind, and Franklin ended up becoming a character in the Peanuts gang. I don't know how important. I don't have. What is Franklin? Do we know anything about Franklin? I don't know. Anyway, here's the story. Maybe we're going to learn all about Franklin, and that's fine. Hey, we all learned about Velma recently. Nobody thought twice about Velma and Scooby-Doo, and all of a sudden now we know everything about Velma, including who she prefers to sleep with. Franklin from Peanuts gets to shine in the spotlight of a new animated Apple TV special. Mild-mannered Franklin, the first black character in the Peanuts comic strip. Is there more? What do you mean first black? Are there more? I mean, cool. I'm just wondering. I don't know. Peanuts. Dude, it's Peanuts. I mean, am I wrong when I say that Peanuts and Mickey Mouse are lame? Like, if you were into cartoons as a kid, isn't Mickey Mouse kind of lame? Like, I always thought that was lame. Peanuts kind of lame, too. I was like, Peanuts is lame. Snoopy. Now, Snoopy was cool. That's different. Charlie Brown's big old cuck. I'm not interested in Charlie Brown. Is he? Something wrong with Charlie Brown, right? There's something wrong. And I know it was the 1960s and we didn't have On the Spectrum, but there's something going on with Charlie Brown. You got the whole Peppermint Patty situation. Okay, so Lucy, you got Lucy. Lucy's a Karen, right? She's like an original Karen. So Lucy, but doesn't Lucy have this like little lesbian friend that is just like completely enamored with her? And Lucy, isn't that Marcy? Is that Marcy? Or no, or is it Marcy who likes Peppermint Patty? Who's the one that gets mislabeled, gender mislabeled? One of them gets gender mislabeled all the time. Marcy calls somebody sir who isn't a sir. Is that Lucy? Or is it Peppermint Patty? I'm not sure. Peppermint Patty, obviously homeless. Obviously, her mother's probably a crackhead or something like that. Why is Peppermint Patty? Wait. That's not Peppermint Patty. Who's the dirty one? Well, is that Pigsty? Yeah, Pigsty's the homeless one. Look at me. That was a weird little stream of consciousness we went on there. That was a roller coaster. I went from saying I know nothing about Peanuts to actually revealing that I do know something about Peanuts, all the way back around to being a guy who doesn't really know anything about Peanuts. Franklin is a newcomer who bonds with Charlie Brown and is welcome to the Peanuts universe. And Snoopy presents Welcome Home, Franklin, which premieres on Friday. What do you mean, welcome home? What was he in juvie? Where has Franklin been that we now have to welcome him home? Anyway, there you have it, Franklin. I don't even know if I can picture Franklin. Linus had a blanket. Suppose that's okay. It's kind of cute, a security blanket. I think of Linus as being a bit younger than the rest of the Peanuts gang, so maybe that's okay. Then you had Schroeder. Schroeder could play the piano, right? That was his whole thing. He could, but also couldn't Snoopy play the piano? Like, aren't there also like Snoopy playing the piano things? I think Snoopy plays the piano too. Battle of the Bands, Schroeder versus Snoopy. Franklin plays an instrument. That was one of the things that I learned. Franklin plays bass guitar. All right, let's run through a couple of more things. We're running out of the important stories, and now we're just into the stupid shit that I thought might be fun to talk about. Marcy likes peppermint patty. Okay, so Al, good. Let's work through this. Marcy is obviously a lesbian, and Marcy is the one. Does Marcy call peppermint patty sir? Because peppermint patty is I guess at the time we would call him a tomboy, but I think in 2024 we would call peppermint patty gender fluid. Not a tomboy, gender fluid. I mean, really? Seriously. And then there was Pigpen. Pigpen was the sad one. Well, what's Pigpen's story? Why does Pigpen's parents not love him? All right, let's move on. It's fish fry. Today's the first Friday of Lent. Oh my God. Oh, you guys. Now look, I know this is a Catholic thing, and here in Dallas, North Texas, it's not a really big Catholic place, so you probably don't really understand when I say that I am craving perch. I want perch. I want a fish fry tonight. So here's the deal. Apparently with Catholics, them crazy Catholics, which I was raised crazy Catholic. Crazy Catholics, they decide one of the rules they're just blindly going to follow is you can't eat meat on Friday. Why not? Because we said so. All right. You know why? Okay, let's go back to the no eat meat on Friday. The Pope had it. The Pope at the time had it. And at the time, I mean like a billion years ago, the Pope had an interest in fish. The Pope had a bunch of fisheries and boats and ran fishing. Popes were not what they are today. The Pope was like a big fish business guy. So the Pope made a law that all Catholics had to eat fish on Friday. It's not biblical. I mean, they have turned it into something biblical, but it goes back to the Pope. And here we are like 1,000, 2,000 years later, whatever it is. We are still eating fish on Friday. Catholics anyway. Can't have meat. Can't have any meat. So we typically default to fish. I guess can't have chicken either. I guess chicken is meat. So it's got to be fish. Here's another thing about this Friday. I don't know so much here because, again, this really depends on a Catholic population, but in cities where there are heavy Catholics, cities like Chicago and New York and Boston and all these kinds of places, heavy Catholicism. Pizza places are going to be so busy tonight. Some of the biggest, I always brag that I worked at 3 of the world's greatest pizza restaurants. Fridays in Lent are madhouses, absolutely madhouses, because people who don't want fish just get cheese pizza. Catholics who don't want to, they just get cheese pizza. They make so many cheese pizzas on Lent. It's ridiculous. Anyway, what's going on today? I want perch. I want a little pan-fried perch, a little breaded, and a little lemon on there. Tartar sauce, very important to have the tartar sauce. See, in the Midwest, in my area, and this is very famous in the Great Lakes region, specifically like Michigan and Wisconsin and Illinois and stuff like that. But most places on Fridays during Lent, they have what's called all-you-can-eat fish, and it's just perch. It's just like crappy lake whitefish that they bread in like the most delicious, and then they fry it in butter, and it just comes out. And if you want to eat 20 pounds of perch on a Friday during an all-you-can-eat fish fry, you can. I have tested that. God, I missed that. That is one of, where's my boy Jeff Ballard? Is Jeff Ballard around? Because Jeff Ballard for sure understands the Midwestern Friday and Lent fish fry, all you can eat party. I want fish. I don't know how to make fish. I can't do it. I need my grandma. I need my grandma to be resurrected. My grandma needs to make that damn perch that she used to make when I was like 8 years old. Keep it coming, Grandma. I need another plate. And she just got like 50 pounds of fish. It's awesome. McDonald's. McDonald's is in the news today. Why is McDonald's in the news? Well, because I'm going to leave you with some good news. I love McDonald's. I'm a big McDonald's fan. I'm very pro McDonald's, and I have a very strong belief that most people love McDonald's. They just take it for granted because there is a McDonald's within walking distance of wherever you are right now. Wherever you are right now, if you needed a Big Mac, you could walk and get a Big Mac. That's not the same for like a Whataburger or a Taco Bell or a Wendy's or Five Guys. That's not in America today, no matter where you are, you could probably walk to a McDonald's. So we take it for granted. Every neighborhood's got one, but man, don't take it for granted. They eliminate all the McDonald's. You'll feel it. You'll be like, wait, what happened to all the McDonald's? We just take it for granted. I love McDonald's. Pound for pound, I think it's the best of all the fast food restaurants. Nobody has done the work in the field of potatoes quite the way McDonald's has. Their French fries are amazing. Their hash browns are the greatest in the world. Their Coca-Cola, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what kind of secret pact they made with the people at Coca-Cola, but McDonald's Coca-Cola from the fountain tastes totally different than Coca-Cola anywhere else, and it's better. And they're doing something different to it. See, here's the deal. When you buy the Coca-Cola syrup, when you sign a deal to serve Coca-Cola products in your restaurant or whatever, and you have or you're a convenience store and you've got a Coca-Cola, logo there, that means you've signed a deal with Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola enforces the exact amount of syrup that is used to create the product that they call Coca-Cola. And they send people around to these stores, Coca-Cola employees, to check randomly the amount of syrup that's being used. So you get a consistent Coca-Cola taste because Coca-Cola believes that they have a specific flavor. I think McDonald's is allowed to change it. I think McDonald's is allowed to use just a little more syrup. I think McDonald's has a deal with Coca-Cola where they're allowed to use just a little more syrup and make their Coke just a little sweeter. And I think they have that deal with Coca-Cola. And I think Coca-Cola is like, okay, that's fine. Why? Because McDonald's probably said, or we'll just serve Pepsi. And we're freaking McDonald's. And Coca-Cola was like, nope, we're going to keep the McDonald's account. We're not going to lose that one. They want to tweak it a little bit. That's fine. But if you're Bob and Martha's pack and carry, you're in a little liquor store and you've got a little thing, you better be doing it according to the way Coca-Cola wants you. Anyway, that's McDonald's. This is the best time of year for McDonald's. You want to know why? I'm going to tell you because it's this happens every year and I get very excited about it. And it has to do with the story that I just told about fish. Today's the time of year when McDonald's recognizes that it's fish season. The Filet-O-Fish sandwich. For like the next month at McDonald's, if you buy a Filet-O-Fish sandwich, you can get a second one for like $1, which is awesome. Because just underneath the hash browns, McDonald's draft. Okay, here are the best things you can buy at McDonald's. Hash browns, number 1. Number 2 is French fries. Number 3 is the Filet-O-Fish. Number 4 is the Egg-A-Muffin. And number 5 is the Shamrock Shake, which is also back today for a limited time. It's Shamrock Shake and buy one fish, get another fish for $1 season at McDonald's. I'm a happy McDonald's customer. I love the Shamrock Shake. The Shamrock Shake is good, man. And they take it away. When I was little, I was like, why do they take this away? And then, as I grew up, I realized supply and demand. That's why. Because if it was always available, if the Shamrock Shake was always available, nobody would ever get it. Because no matter what you think when you have that Shamrock Shake on St. Patrick's Day, no matter what you think, the Shamrock Shake is not as popular as the chocolate or the vanilla. So they're not going to take up. Anyway, that's why they do it. Because for the limited time that it's same thing applies to the McRib. If the McRib was on the menu the whole time, the McRib would be like, the McRib is gross. But because they only bring it back for like a limited time. They can pretend like it's a big deal. And so everybody gets programmed. We're all programmed. I need a McRib. No, you don't. If they never brought the McRib back, you wouldn't miss it one bit. But now they brought it back for 2 weeks, and suddenly you're like, I gotta be late. I gotta get a big McRib. That's programming. You just what? Take advantage of the flail fish. It's flail fish season over there. The flail fish, man. The McDonald's I also am a critic of the flail fish. I think McDonald's knows that they got us. They know that they have something that is just apex delicious in the flail fish sandwich, and they make it tiny, and they make it just a little bit more expensive than everything else, and tiny, which is a weird thing for you to have to process when you're looking at it going, I want a flail fish. That's flavor-wise, that's what I want. But I'm going to need 4 of them, and they're like $5 each. I don't want to spend $20 on a flail fish meal because they're small, man. They're like tiny. Seriously, I could eat 3 filet fish. That's what I would do. If I like money wasn't an option, I'd be like, give me 3 filet fish and a large fry and a shamrock shake. That would be my dinner tonight. But they make the filet fish expensive. Here's the other thing. Customers who purchase the crispy fish sandwich will be able to get a second for just $1. The deal started on February 14th, the first day of Lent, and will run through late March. This year, Lent ends on Thursday, March 28th. Okay, so it'll run through then. It'll run through Good Friday. Get yourself a fish sandwich. Here's the thing, though. Like, if I buy a filet of fish, this is McDonald's and their rules. I've run to follow their rules on their app because I order everything on the app now, which is so great. Did you guys do that? That's like I sit at home and I go, what do I want from McDonald's? And I order my meal on the app at McDonald's, get in the car, drive the 2 blocks, pull right into they've already got it made. I pull right into the drive-thru and they say, welcome to McDonald's. Did you place a digital order or an order on the app? And I go, yep. And they say, what's your number? And I give them a number and they say, here it is. And I am gone. There is no, I want a hamburger, hold the cheese. There is no waiting. It's all made. They're making it while I'm driving. I've ordered it at my house. It's already there. I love the app. But I've run to follow some of the rules on the apps. Like in this case. So if I buy a filet fish, and then I want to take advantage of the deal where I get the second filet fish for $1. So now I got the 2 filet fish. Can I get another filet fish and another one for $1? Or are you like, nope, you can only do it once? Because here's what I want. I want 2 regular priced filet fishes, and I would like them to come with 2 $1 filet fishes. That's all. But McDonald's probably won't let me do that. McDonald's will be like, no, you have to wait on the app, you have to wait a half hour. You can only do 1 deal at a time, and then you have to wait a half hour. I'd like to be able to say that I didn't order something at McDonald's and then go back a half hour to take advantage of the deal again, but I can't say that because I have absolutely done that. Got a McDonald's right down literally the end of the block. There's a McDonald's. It's easy. But still, it's inconvenient. Hey, did you guys see this with Micah Parsons and Stephen A. Smith? This is going to be the last story. We'll finish out with this one. Here, watch this. This is a feel good for Cowboys Nation on this Friday. Whoop. Hold on. Stephen A. Smith, ESPN Stephen A. Smith. Y'all know Stephen A. Smith. Oh, my God. You want to talk about a loudmouth? He is a loudmouth. Entertaining. He's pretty entertaining, but he's a loudmouth. And, more than often, I'm like, this guy. One of the things Stephen A. Smith is most famous for is being a very, very proud cowboy hater. He's not just a cowboy hater. A lot of people are cowboy haters. He's like the worst kind of cowboy hater because he's also a Philadelphia Eagles fan. So, that's, hold on, there we go. That's doubly irritating. So he's got this big platform and he's America's probably best known cowboy hater. And here's a little news on Stephen A. Smith from today. Let's watch this, shall we? Okay, here we go.
By Adrian Wojnarowski, Adam Schefter, but this is what I was told by Stephen A. If he wants to change the story when he gets here, that's fine. But this is what I understand. Stephen A. Smith is one of the coaches in the Celebrity All-Star Game tonight alongside our guy Shannon Sharp. It's going to be Epic TV, right? Absolutely. Sponsored by Ruffles. So yesterday, SA had to get out to Naptown early, and they had a practice. So he started messing around with Micah Parsons, of all people, one of the guys on his team, obviously a Dallas Cowboy. Micah crossed him over, and all I know is Stephen A's at the hospital right now getting x-rays. So I'll let him tell you the rest of the details
Oh my
when
goodness.
he gets here. Now,
Monica, we're going to have some fun with this.
this was not.
Oh, yeah. That's how you go into the weekend. Michael Parsons putting in that off-season work, sending Stephen A. Smith, noted national Dallas Cowboy hater, to the hospital with, I don't know, some kind of old man injury. See, I'm not, Stephen A. Smith's a little bit older than me. I'm not, I would never think that I could go out and try and guard Micah Parsons. I am a man of a certain age, and although I enjoy sports, and in my younger days I enjoyed playing sports, I'm not foolish enough to think that I won't. I talked about it earlier. That's why I won't go skiing. I'll go skiing, and I will, bending over to like put my foot in the boot or something, I will like pop a muscle that will require like 5 years of surgeries. I don't need that. That's, we just had an age. Stephen A. Smith doesn't get it. Stephen A. Smith's ego said that he could go out there and he could guard or try to guard a world-class athlete like Michael Parsons, and he's paying for it. Breaking news. Hold on. We got some breaking news. Hold on. I got you. I see what you're saying, but I want to see it on my own. Okay. All right. So here we go. Thank you, April. April, today's executive producer. So Trump was awaiting the decision in the civil fraud case in New York City. This is civil. This was fraud. So he's not going to jail. This concerns his businesses. This concerns the Trump organization. Has to do with, well, I'll just read it to you. So we've been waiting to hear the judge. Actually, wait, is that true? All right. Judge fines. So here's the breaking news. Judge fines Trump more than $300 million, bars him from running businesses in New York for 3 years. Former president denied any wrongdoing, calling the case a fraud on me. There's a lot of that going around, dude. A lot of fraud on you. You've been accused of a lot of things. The judge who presided over a civil business fraud trial against Donald Trump and his company has issued his decision in the case. Judge Arthur Engoron. I don't know what this dude's name is, because I'm sure that if you're like far right or far left, you know this dude's name because the content that you ingest has been talking about. I don't know this guy is. He's a judge. Why should I know who a New York State judge is? This is Judge Arthur Engoron ordered the former president and the Trump organization to pay over $300 million in damages and bars Trump from serving as an officer or director of any New York corporation or other legal entity for a period of 3 years. The judgment is the second this year against Trump after he was hit last month with an $83.3 million verdict in writer E. Jean Carroll's defamation case. Wow. Remember how big we thought that was? Remember it was like a couple weeks ago, we're like 83 million. Holy crap. 300 million today. So if you're on a mailing list, I would expect to get a whole bunch of emails over the next couple of days saying, give us more money to send it for. He's a billionaire. He's a billionaire. He's going to use his people. He's going to use his loyal, loving supporters. He's going to use their savings and all that because, he wants to stay a billionaire. That's crazy amount of money, man. They're going to use it to raise money. That's what they do. New York Attorney General Letitia James had been seeking $370 million from Trump, his company, and its top executives, including his sons Don Jr. and Eric Trump, alleging repeated. I don't care. We're moving it. Now it's getting boring. The news is that the judge in New York, $300 million. Yeah, Trump lost another lawsuit. Who cares? If you really care, if you really want to know about all the ins and the outs of this, go find it elsewhere. He lost another case, $300 million. Bring it up. Is he in the ballpark of Giuliani now, or is Giuliani encroaching upon $1 million in judgments against him? All of these dudes, they better get back in power because they're going to have to decimate the entire American legal system in order to get out from under the incredible fines they're all being levied with. That's a lot of money. 300 million. Okay, moving on. No big deal. What else? What else do we have? Anything? Guys, I guess that's it. I guess we're done. I guess we're out. I'm going to be on with James. We'll be talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with James on WBAP 93.3 at 4:05-ish. So about 2 hours from now. So you can check that out. Come on by. Hang out with us. You've already heard, I think you've pretty much already heard my take on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because we covered that story. Look at that. Terrestrial radio, like 5 days after we already cover that story here. No, but I'll have fresh thoughts. So join us there. James Parker, 93.3, 4 o'clock. You know what I started doing yesterday? Remember, what were we talking about? It was in the birthday section yesterday where we came across Lee Radswell, who was having a birthday. Lee Radswell, I told you, it's her birthday. She was born on this day. Lee Radswell was a famous socialite in the 1960s, kind of a Paris Hilton type of that era. What is her claim to fame? Why is she famous? She's Jackie Kennedy's sister. So Jackie Kennedy's little sister became this sort of big New York City socialite and all. Well, she already was. That family was already big socialites, but that was her big connection. There's a new, not new, but Feud, the anthology series Feud, and I have difficulty calling it an anthology series because this is season 2 of Feud, and season 1 was like 5 years ago. So an anthology, so we're just gonna pull one out every 5 years. Each season is a mini series that depicts dramatically a famous historical feud. This one, the one that just debuted, actually, I didn't just debut. I think I checked on it yesterday, and it looks like there's just one episode left, and then you can binge it all. It's on Hulu. This one, this installment of Feud is called Feud Capote versus the Birds or something like that. I don't know. It's the story of Truman Capote in his years-long war with the New York society ladies, the ladies who did, and Lee Radswell, whose birthday was yesterday, is one of them. So that's why we're talking about it. That's season 1. I haven't watched that yet, but I went to check on it. I went last night. I was like, I kind of want to watch Feud. I want to see what this new season's about. And I checked on it, and I'm like, oh, look. Okay, so there are a number of episodes, but now I see, and this wasn't the case before, but now I see that Hulu is now added season 1 of Feud. So when you go to Feud on Hulu, right? FX, it's the FX thing. When you go, it'll say season 1 or season 2. And if you click on season 1, you get all the episodes from the first season of Feud, which was Feud Betty versus Joan, which is the story of Betty Davis versus Joan Crawford while making the film Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Now, I was thinking about this last night. I think I incorrectly yesterday when talking about it, I think I incorrectly said it was All About Eve. Of course, that was not, Joan Crawford was not in All About Eve, but it's Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. And Joan Crawford and Betty Davis starred together in 1961s or 62s, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, which turned into be a huge horror film and a big hit. And just, they were big movie stars. Why it's interesting that they starred together in that film is because they hated each other for like 30 years in Hollywood. They competed for roles. They narked on one another. They gave gossip columnists about one another. So they were, Joan Crawford and Betty Davis hated each other. And it was in 1961 that they were brought together to play this movie about two sisters who hated each other. And anyway, that's what season 1 of Feud is about. It's about how that movie came together, I'll tell you this too. I started watching it last night because, again, it's on Hulu now. It wasn't always on Hulu. It's appearing on Hulu, and I clicked it and I watched episode 1 last night before I went to bed, and it is great. It is so good. It's just as good as I remember from 5 years ago. I don't remember the details of it, so I'm enjoying watching it again. But man, is it great! Susan Sarandon and Jessica Lange, Alfred Molina. Anyway, it's a great cast. what was I going to say about it? Anyway, that's what I'm watching. No, but I did have an observation. I had something that I wanted to say about that. It's really good. Oh, wow. I'm watching it last night and I'm reminded, I'm like, wow, you know what? If people who listen to this stream, who hear me say, no matter what, actresses are all going to hell. I'm putting all actresses in hell. People who wonder why I feel that way, just watch Feud. Just watch Feud. Just watch Feud and see the way Jessica Lange portrays Joan Crawford and see the way Susan Sarandon portrays Betty Davis and tell me I'm wrong for just out of hand, every actress goes to hell. Oh, it is a great depiction of what actresses are really like. Hollow, empty husks who are just, the only thing that's in those husks is just some like narcissism and insecurities and cruelty. That's it. Cruelty, insecurities, narcissism. That's all that's in there. And everything else is just, I can play any character and be any person you want at any moment, irregardless of emotional. Anyway. So I'm watching Feud. I mean, I probably won't watch it this weekend because my kid's coming, and that's, a couple of things going on there. One, I don't want my son's not going to like it. He's going to be like, what is this? So it's like old, but then no, it's not old. It's only a couple of years old, but it's like in the past, but these people were famous from like a period even before this. I'm like, yeah, so he's not going to watch it. He's not going to be interested in it. He didn't care. He didn't know Joan Crawford. He doesn't know Mommy Dearest. He doesn't know who Betty Davis is. He's never seen All About Eve. Or what was the one? What was the woman's name? I can't think of the woman's name. That Joan Crawford won an Oscar for. Mildred Pierce. That's it. I couldn't think. I'm like, he's never seen All About Eve or Mildred Pierce. He didn't know who these people are. But it's good. It's really good. So he's not going to want to watch it for that reason. The other reason I don't think I'm going to watch it around him is because it seems pretty gay. It really does. Like I'm watching this thing and I'm like, I mean, look, I like chicks and I know that I'm a straight dude. I just happen to love this Hollywood gossip bullshit, from the golden age. So I don't want my son seeing me watch that because my son will be like, this seems like it might be for chicks, Dad. I'm like, it is. And I don't want to have to explain that. We've had absolutely zero sightings of the prehistoric hellhawk who earlier in the week was haunting our yard. I did, however, last night hear what I believe to be our bobcat. We've got a bobcat that's in this neighborhood. So yeah, my little wild kingdom is happening. I got nothing else. I don't know. I'm trying to spread this out. Have a good weekend, April. Bye, everybody. Bye, Barney. Bye to all my friends. I want you guys to have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday, and this has been a 2-hour plus stream of consciousness, and I am going to shut up now.